Having nowhere to go and having to figure out how to get a roof over my head was the coolest adventure. And we did it together. We've continued to do everything together. And if you're someone now looking to settle with someone, look at their values. Our values were the same. He wanted that family. He wanted to give his kids a dad.
Having 5 kids in a 6-year period.
Hand on my heart, I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. And that was because I was blessed to be able to experience the downside to it.
You have to be willing to open yourself up and be vulnerable in certain areas of your life to be able to go all in, because if you don't go all in, you're creating that chaos that you say that you don't want.
Are you happy to live like this for the rest of your life? Because if you're not, these are the years where you have life in them. End it now, move on now, and enjoy the life that we have now.
Quick one before we jump into this podcast. Do me a solid favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below this video. If you're looking to remove images, videos, search results, or fake accounts online, go to contentremoval.com, but don't take my word for it. Here's some music.
Frank, you're a fucking legend. I just saw this. Layla also thinks you're a legend, which in my mind means you're which means you're a double legend in my mind. If you get my wife to think you're a legend, then you're extra cool in my mind. Dude, thank you so much, genuinely. That was such a pain.
Guys, we are back and we are in a new location. And today I have not disappointed you again. I have got on a woman that is a top entrepreneur. She's a fitness influencer, an international fitness influencer. She's a woman that has 5 children and has smashed it in business on so many different levels. And Chontel Duncan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for letting me set up in your, what should we call this? The
humble abode.
Humble abode. What is this? What is this part of the business? This is like the what is this? The content room?
Yeah, creative space. A space when I have my children at work.
The childcare centre. We're in the childcare centre.
Yeah.
I just think, honestly, the reason I chased you for so long about having you on the podcast is because obviously with everything that you've done and achieved in life, so to speak, has been fantastic. And to do it with, you know, I was reading an article about you a few days back, and it's like you had 5 children in a 6-year space, and to build everything that you've built whilst being a mum, whilst going through all those pregnancies, has been an extraordinary journey. I have no doubt. How did you? But if we take it way back beyond then, how did you first, like, did you have a passion for fitness going through school, or how did it work out for you like that?
It all stemmed back to how fitness got me to where I am today as a child, unintentionally though. As a child, I think you don't have that cognitive development yet to understand the power of movement and just how fundamental doing team sports and being involved in any sports and what that gains as a young adolescent and what it teaches you when you get released into the real world, right? You have a coach and you know what it's like to lose, you know what it's like to win, you know what it's like to work hard and progressively get better at something. And it's an individual attack. You're working on yourself. You're trying to develop yourself, right? You do that as an adult. But as a child, sports will make someone something. And I think we underestimate the power of how important it is for our children and what it did for me. So let's go strip it all the way back and what makes me who I am today. And why do I have the values that I have? And why do I see wealth in certain areas that people can take for granted, for example? Why do I have 5 kids? And why do I do it all? Growing up, I came from a really dysfunctional upbringing. And for a while there, you don't realize that it is. And I think a lot of people can relate that everyone turns a blind eye. And you think because it's blood, you have to accept it, and that is the way it is, and you just follow a chain. And you get squashed in thinking that this is how it's supposed to be, and this is how you're supposed to be treated and how you're supposed to feel, right? But then you go to a mainstream school, and that's what I was very blessed to go to. And you start hanging out with different kids, you start seeing different relationships with their family, and then eventually you start staying at their house. And then you start having more independence and being able to go out and interact, you know, at dinner times with them, sleepovers and parties and holidays with other people. And you start to get an idea, you start to see. And, you know, we, as children, we change based on how someone makes us feel, the energy someone can portray. And as adults, we forget that. But children, we don't have the vocabulary to really understand and digest what's going on, but we know what it makes us, how it makes us feel, right? And that gave me a massive eye-opening experience as to what life should be like, or could be like, should I say. And I don't take anything as a negative or as a victim. It's a blessing. It's a massive blessing. And I am so much stronger and wiser than I could ever be because I had these experiences and I was able to build myself from them and come from one extreme. And I know a lot of people can relate. When you hit rock bottom, it really makes you fight. And when you hit these lows, it really teaches you that resilience and emotional discipline at such a young age, and pushed me into wanting to stay away from home. So I put myself out there into sport, and I had someone who gave me attention, a coach. Yeah. I got given positive reinforcement, positive attention. That became addictive to me because it was such a blessing. It was the wealth in having that attention that I wasn't getting. The support, or just someone seeing potential in me and seeing that I could be good at something, that became addictive.
So it's essentially the fact that someone was seeing more in yourself than perhaps you could see in yourself at the time.
Yeah, because I'm not surrounded by it when I'd go home.
So what were some of the darker things and darker times that were happening within your childhood then at home that weren't kind of conducive to what the mainstream were experiencing?
It's not something happened. It was just a consistent way of living. I remember sitting down with someone saying, oh yeah, I'm booking this holiday with my family and I'm so excited. And they said, oh, you always book holidays for your kids. Why? And I said, well, when I look back at how many holidays I went on one. As a child, with our family, we went on one holiday, and it was arguing. We didn't have a fun time. There was no love, essentially, like as a family, and you really admire what you see and you want what you see in others. And to me, wealth is quality time with my family. So that's one example. Violence, drugs, all those things that, it can really damage relationships and damage a family. And I really value that eye-opening experience to see how much drugs can affect family and a person. And so, hand on my heart, I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. And that was because I was blessed to be able to experience the downside to it.
So who was showing you that downside to drugs in your family? Were family members like taking drugs openly around you in your childhood and things like that happening? Yeah,
and we'd have, the cops come in and do raids and, people rocking up to our house that were very sketchy. And
you just thought this was normal? How?
You don't ask. You're not allowed to ask. You're not allowed to step foot in certain areas. You just behave. And that's how you get on with life. And that's how everyone turns a blind eye. You just don't ask questions. And if you're smart, you stay away. And you stay out of trouble. So you stay at school. You put yourself into team sports. You hang out with other friends' families. And you do things to stay away. But you, without realising the power of sports and having a team. So a community, right? A family, essentially. And that got me through high school. I pushed myself. I became somebody, and I felt like I was heard. Age champion throughout all of my schooling. I never not won my races, my high jump, my long jump. I mean, I'm 6'2", but, I tried and I did good. I've tried every sport. I didn't care what it was. It just kept me busy. So weightlifting, rugby union, touch, basketball, volleyball, netball, little athletics. I did everything and anything, swimming. Whether I was good or not, it taught me that no one can deny you of hard work. If you just try and figure it out, you can join that team sport. You can figure out how to do it. You can figure out where you fit. I'm shit at dribbling a ball for basketball. Fantastic at post. I know my strengths and I worked on my strengths. I know my weaknesses and I stayed away from it.
So essentially, you didn't pay any attention to any weaknesses within yourself. You just specifically worked on getting those strengths stronger and leaning into those strengths.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, isn't it? A lot of people work on their weaknesses when they should be enhancing their strengths and going all in on what they're good at.
Yeah, not even just working on their weaknesses, just focusing on their weaknesses and blurring out their strengths. I think a lot of the time we get so distracted on everything negative around us and everything that's not working for us that's all we end up seeing. And we forget the good and the people that matter and the things we have achieved and the values and the type of person we are, and that we can rest our head at night and know that we are good people, that we forget about the good things that we are.
How have you gone about healing those emotional wounds that would have been caused by some of the stuff that you saw in your childhood?
I know no better. I think emotional discipline is something that takes time, and once you channel it and you understand it, I feel as though it becomes your superpower. You don't dwell, you move on, you understand your perception on things is very clear and very positive, and you understand that these are hurdles and challenges that you were gifted with. You are not the only one. You're also not even that bad. There is worse cases out there. This is just what you've been given. Either take it and run with it and become something fantastic from it, or sit there and dwell and become a victim and do nothing but allow it to be at no point your responsibility.
But how have you flipped your perspective? Because a lot of people would have run with the victim mentality. So how have you flipped that on its head?
One, I do think it's in the individual at some point, but two, fitness.
So just fitness has been that channel for you.
Yeah.
But when you obviously you came from a family that maybe were all together, but maybe weren't as functional as what you now know to be truly functional in a modern day family. But what was it? Obviously, you met your partner at school, and you've been with him since that time. Sam, you've been with Sam that long, since you grew up. I mean, what was it that made you want to get into such a stable relationship so early and have that stability?
When you don't have, I guess, that connection in your life, you don't have that male role model, you do, and you see it time and time, children that come from broken families or a rough background, they tend to dive into things. And I was obviously in a very healthy state. I was very athletic and very active, and surrounding myself with really pretty much the same people that are in sports and those that are driven. And I met him through that environment, and he was into rugby league, and he was very good at it, and very driven and very confident, and just had this really positive vibe. He was so attractive in the sense that he had confidence, a massive group of friends, very athletic, played piano, beatboxed, was a positive life of every event or party or social gathering at school. And that was so attractive to me, to feel that energy. And he came from a very chaotic background, and it was just the right time. Like, we met each other at the right time, and we both were longing for that connection. And I'm very blessed that it was him, because he is the most respectful human I've ever come across, and I am his world. He is just the best thing. I wish every woman could experience a relationship like he promotes to me and gives to me and our children. So again, I don't think I would have been open to meeting anyone if I didn't have that history, if I didn't have that longing for a relationship and for a connection with somebody that I could turn to, that I could trust if things were going wrong, and I could open my world to and know that it was in a safe space. So we were each other's rocks growing up as teenagers. I met him when I was 14 and he was 15. And we went through high school together. He went and got a scholarship for football. As I said, he was really good at it. And we moved he moved into a different school for the final year, and then after school we got a rental, and I didn't have a place to stay. So once I turned 18, it was like, this is you now. And it was a massive eye-opening experience that this is not my fault, but it is my responsibility to take ownership of my life. And at 18, if nothing goes further from here, that is my fault. It is no one else's. At 18, you are responsible for yourself. You can't keep depending on people, because then that behavior will continue to go with you throughout your life. You'll never take ownership of your life. You'll always rely on somebody, or point the finger at somebody, or become a victim in every situation possible. I feel as though having nowhere to go and having to figure out how to get a roof over my head was the coolest adventure. And we did it together. And we've continued to do everything together.
So how do you essentially work on, if someone's listening to this that wants to attract the perfect partner into their life, male or female, I mean, how do you think they go about best attracting that into their life so they get the right person, on the bus so that they go together, kind of thing? What's your view on that?
I really wish with everything in life you could say, hi, I'm John Smith and I am normal. I am a good person. But you can't. You really just got to put your best foot forward and give everything a good shot, and know that when things don't go right, or things happen that aren't positive, that is the universe giving you that experience to learn, to get stronger, wiser, smarter from. You have to be willing to try, because if you sit there waiting for the perfect opportunity, you're wasting time. You're wasting opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop and evolve as an individual. It doesn't always happen like that. And I mean, we were very blessed to have met each other when we did, but at the same time, we've grown together. So we've developed and learned how to become the adults that we are today together. I mean, you're meeting someone in your 30s, I guess, when they've already got history. So there's probably a whole different bag of information to sift through and figure out. We didn't have that, but we also had our other challenges. As we were children, we were learning. Yeah,
essentially, you've gone on a path and grown together through the path and done a lot of learning together. But essentially, I suppose that if I go and meet a woman now and we're both in our 30s, then essentially what you're saying is that she's got some baggage, probably some previous relationships, probably some traumas that she's got to get through and work through. And then when you come together, it's a different set of scenarios that you've got to move through as a couple, so to speak.
Yeah.
But do you think a lot of people are going out into the world and doing things that don't really support where they actually truly want to go, because they're trying to mask trauma that they've never dealt with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I created the company that I have, because I think it's a unintentional way of really getting through the weight that they're carrying and giving them an outlet.
I suppose fitness is the first place that, before people go and work on the mental plane and go and do breath work or meditation or go and do some spiritual stuff to heal themselves from the inside out, I suppose the first place most people go is to fitness, to do that healing, to start doing that work, to better their body, to better their self.
Yeah, you got to be unapologetically selfish and work on yourself and start figuring out what makes you feel unbalanced, what makes you feel ick, and work on that. And that is through nutrition, moving your body, maybe speaking up, breath work perhaps, whatever it may be, but start working on yourself. And that's what I would encourage anyone, if you met someone and you saw that they had those baggage or history or traumas, to encourage that, to give them that space and support to go do what they want to do and not feel selfish or
what's the first
supported.
What's the first stage for you though, in regards to if I came to you and said to you, look, Chontel, I've got some trauma in my life and I'm trying to fix this, what would your first piece of advice be to me or to someone listening to this that wants to start doing the work on their traumas but they don't really know where to start?
Mm-hmm. I would just encourage to put just every day, put your best foot forward. So that means make your bed, start your day feeling fresh, get to the gym and stick to a routine. I don't even care if you don't even do a brilliant job at the gym. Just knowing that you did something that you set yourself out to achieve, putting small little flicks of positivity in that person's every day will eventually keep moving them in the direction they need to, and then they'll get to a state of mind where they can channel it, they can handle it, they can start clearly digesting and sifting through what it is that's causing this issue. They might have the confidence then to speak out to someone. But if they are so uncomfortable with who they are, there's no way that they're going to have the mental capacity to even want to touch and even look at what it might be. They don't want to talk about it. They don't know how to channel and understand it, and they don't want to feel that. But when you're confident and when you're feeling yourself and when your vibe is high and you're feeling like you're elevating, you're on another level, you want to challenge yourself to be better. And those things you will hit with a clear mind, not because someone's telling you, but because you want it. You want that change. And that's the other thing, like you need to want it yourself. Someone can't tell you to do it. But you need to give them that space to want to work on themselves. So like if your partner is unhappy, give them that support to work on themselves. Find out what it is that makes them happy and let them start doing it. You know, emotional discipline is bloody hard, but if you consistently work on it, eventually it becomes natural behaviour. It becomes something that you can adhere to naturally.
I think a lot of people as well, if they say they're going to do something or they say they're going to turn out in some way for themselves, they have to commit to doing that. Like it's all right saying that you're going to give up this or you're going to start doing this, but if you don't go and actually execute and do that thing that you said you were going to do, every time you do that, you take away confidence within yourself, which puts you further back down the road in terms of growth.
And that's the other thing. Make sure it's realistic. Make sure what you're setting out is something that you can achieve. Because if your goal is to lose 10 kilos and that's all you're focusing on, as an example, just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks, that 10 kilos is going to take potentially 3-6 months to achieve. For that period of time, you're consistently going to be unhappy because you haven't reached your goal yet. Give yourself more attainable goals, daily goals. As I say, get to the gym. I don't care if you just sat there on the floor. You got to the gym. You made that appointment. You can tick it off your to-do list. Satisfying as heck. That is the shit that makes us elevate. That giving ourselves little goals each week that allow us to achieve greatness in the end, and then you'll get that 10 kilos that was never in your sight, just because that's what the outcome was going. You know what I mean? Like you're enjoying the fruits of your labour.
You've broken it down. Like if you want to lose a kilo of weight, you just lose it at 1 pound at a time and just keep losing 1 pound and keep losing another 1 pound, another 1 pound, another 1 pound.
Like you can't get a dog and tell it to sit once and think it's going to know it from that point on. Like it just takes a lot of discipline and consistency. So you think every day I'm going to spend 5 minutes with the dog.
Well, there's a reason why you have the business you have with HITT. There's a reason why that you're successful in the terms of, and I'll use this in quotation, there's a reason you're successful as an influencer, as an online personality, and there's a reason you're successful in the relationship, and the reason is because you turn up consistently over a long period of time and you put in the work to get better at every area of your life.
Yeah.
And that is so important that everyone sees that it's the compound effect of what that is in those reps that actually makes someone be what the outside world sees or classes as successful. You know?
And I believe, as going straight back to childhood sport, you have to practice and show up and turn up in order to get captain or in order to be good or in order to win. It doesn't happen overnight. And it's the same with business, life, channeling traumas. You have to show up every day. You have to keep practicing, and eventually you'll get the goal. But no one can deny you of hard work, and that is something that you need to remind yourself of daily.
Do you have I presume you have this framework in your mind, but do you have it written down anywhere, what you will and won't accept in your life in every area?
I don't have anything written down, essentially, but I definitely think I channel it naturally, unintentionally, by how it makes me feel. And I mean, it's hard. Like the disease to please is something that I struggle with.
That's a brilliant quote, that is. Disease to please.
Yeah. And am I living with intention? And they're the things that I guess I bring it back down to, and that spreads across everything. And it happens in your everyday interaction, your everyday behavior. My parenting, am I parenting with intention? What was my intention on saying that to my child or doing that to my child? Just living with intention and trying to focus on removing myself from the disease to please.
Where did you first identify that quote you've just said there, disease to please? Because when you said that, I felt every word of that, because I realised that the whole of society is going through a life where they're looking to please the external eyes on them, but really it might not set their sole purpose on fire. It might not align with who they truly are as a human. Where did that first get coined, and where did it first present itself in your life?
I think it started when I was around 2021, and I got to a point after school I stopped doing sports, right? And that's because everything was involved in the school. If it was requiring me to go somewhere, there was no one to take me. So I couldn't do those sports. So as soon as I finished school, I stopped sports altogether. And I was 2021, and I'd just been flogging myself, working 3 jobs, if that, saving, counting coins for fuel. Everything I had, I bought, never got a loan, and partying with my friends, trying to fit in all the time and working out what you're wearing this weekend. And I just realized I was so unhappy. And what was I doing with my life? I was literally just trying to survive and fit in. And I had done that all my life throughout school, trying to fit in so people wouldn't judge me from where I came from, or that I didn't have the money or the things that they had. And I thought, you need to stop, or you're going to become a chain reaction. You're going to just continue what you've always never wanted to be. So I found a kickboxing gym, and I also said I'm just going to run around a block. And it was going back to the basics. It's like fitness, move my body. I knew that I felt good when I was doing that, and I didn't have the money at the time, so I started that block run. And then eventually, as your priorities shift, I found more money because your priorities shift. And I went to a Muay Thai gym and started kickboxing, and I just wanted to get all this weight off my shoulders and feel like I could switch off for a second, and all I could focus on was just my breath. And it was, sorry, what was your question?
I want you to follow this train of thought.
Yeah, it was going to answer your question. So I found this gym, and I was doing Muay Thai kickboxing, and it changed my focus, right? And here we go, the disease to please. So when I stopped focusing on creating these weekend events and being the host of everything and the life of the party, I started realizing that when I couldn't be that person, people changed. My relationships changed. And I thought, wait a second, I was only intentionally doing things to please people, to fit in, and I need to quit this. I need to stop being this person, because I now am suffering. I'm now not fulfilled. I'm now struggling. I'm flogging myself to try to keep up. So I learned that if I live with intention and people can't see that and can't support that and aren't genuine with me, that validation is fine. Like it expired, and not everyone's meant to continue with you. As you elevate, they might not be able to stay on that altitude with you, and that's absolutely fine. You did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. It's just not everything is to last a lifetime. Some things just last a season, and that is okay. And as I kept moving and focusing on myself, I started noticing it. I was so busy trying to please people that I became so unhappy. And it took so long. Like, I reckon it's a solid decade of me still trying to focus on, am I intentionally doing something to please that person so they like me? Or am I doing it because that's what I want to do?
Yeah.
That's the right thing to do.
I think there's so many people that are going through this as well.
Yeah, and we're so afraid of what people might think about us, or losing connection and relationships and feeling like we've failed. But when it's so uplifting and empowering when you realize to letting go helps strengthen the positive and the good relationships that you have around you. And it's so much healthier and easier to invest in quality over quantity. And as I was saying to you, I just don't give enough Fs. I don't know if I can swear on here.
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay, I don't give enough fucks in life. And it's the best feeling in the world.
Because that I can fit when you said that to me before the podcast, I could feel a woman that was free. It was like you'd finally freed yourself from the patterns of your past, so to speak.
Absolutely, that's perfectly said. And I want everyone to evaluate, if you're listening to this right now, like think about, who do you surround yourself with? What do you put your energy and time into? Are you doing this intentionally for the disease to please, so people like you? Or are you doing it because that is who you are and you want to live this life where you don't give enough fucks what people think about you, but you live with good intention? You are a good human being. And when I die and I'm 80, 90 years old, will I even care about these people or these situations? No, my family, my friends, my good quality relationships, they're where I want to invest my time into.
Because you can nurture that, and you can curate the life and the energy that you want around yourself.
We have control, but it takes a little bit of self-reflection to get to that point, and you do that through fitness. You have to reflect on where you're not really good at, and
fitness actually gives you the chance to have community, but it also gives you the chance to be alone with yourself and to push through your demons, both physically and mentally, if you allow fitness to guide you to the place where it can push you through those barriers.
Mental fortitude, it pushes you. And you have someone at my gym, you have someone over your shoulder who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And it teaches you that you can do more than you think you're capable of. And there are people out there, because you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people at the gym. They're people who want to they want to grow. They want to level up. They want to elevate in life. When you surround yourself with it every single day or every second day, it becomes a part of your life. And that way of being becomes a way of living.
And I honestly believe that as humans, we are energy, obviously. And we have an aura around us, and the bigger we can make that aura, the more abundance, the more life, the better people you're going to attract into your energy sphere, because you are radiating at a different frequency.
Absolutely. I want people, when they meet me or when they have one interaction with me, I want them to gain $1. I don't want to take $1 from them. I want people to feel good. I don't care how what I do for people. I just want people to feel good when they're with me. It's
all about, because every interaction with people, you leave that person feeling better or worse for that interaction they've had with you that day. You never leave anyone in a conversation feeling the same as when you started. Yeah. So when you meet someone and you're in their presence, you're either leaving them better for the conversation you've had, or you're leaving them worse. They've either learned something about themselves, or they're thinking something bad. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have the opportunity with every person that you communicate with to be a light for yourself and be a light in their day. You don't have to come with the same pattern that you came with yesterday. You get a choice on how you turn up, and if the pattern that you're taking out to the world every day isn't giving you the feedback from the world of how you want to feel or how you want the world to feedback to you, the fastest way to change the outer world is to change your inner reality, and you've got the choice to do that.
Yeah. It costs nothing. And it teaches you as well. If you're dealing with yesterday's drama and you find it really hard to challenge that and to channel your emotions and try, get on with your day, just practicing it by being, put yourself in front of people, go to a gym and challenge yourself. I feel shit from what happened today at work. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to have a positive conversation with someone. Test yourself, teach yourself and practice it, because it will teach you that emotional discipline and how to portray that energy and be that light that you want to be. And then eventually it becomes second nature to you. You just know how to channel shit in life, because life is never going to get easy. And if it was easy, then we would all be living perfectly. We would all be in perfect relationships, shredded as fuck and rich and living on yachts. Like, no, it's hard, but it's the journey that is the best part about it. It's so rewarding.
Well, there's so much learning that can happen when you're in the pursuit of actually what you truly want. And it's like you were saying earlier that, you know, there's so many people out there that are potentially surrounded by people that they shouldn't be surrounded by because they're acting in a certain way not congruent with who they are as a human being.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to give yourself the best opportunity of living a full, authentic life, you have to lean into the fact of saying, do you know what? I'm not turning up to the world congruent with actually who I am and how I truly feel. Yeah. And when you decide to turn up in a different way out there in the world will take away everything that isn't for you, which is actually good for you. You might feel some loss, but when they take that away, it's going to be replaced with something that's far more abundant and suitable for your growth trajectory than you could ever imagine. Because everything that you can imagine on the physical plane is nothing compared to what can be manifested into reality, considering, because we always as humans, we downplay it. The one thing I've noticed about successful people like yourself is, you guys have a way of compounding growth year on year and year, and understand the length of time it takes to compound the wins that you have. Whereas a lot of people out there that perhaps aren't having the success that they want, what they do is they overestimate what can be achieved in 1 year, but underestimate what can be achieved in 10. Yeah. And if you look at things of like, would I want to do this sport for 10 years? Would I want to be with this woman or this man for 10 years? Would I want to be in this business for 10 years? If you look at playing long-term games with long-term people, your whole life changes, because you'll only operate your decisions from being able to know that you're fully going to want to be around this person for a long period of time, or they're in this business deal. Is that something that you've identified for yourself?
Yeah, I guess so, in a sense, definitely. You just put it well. You say it really well. But yeah, again, it doesn't happen overnight. And I don't want anyone listening to this thinking, I'm so far from that point in my life, I just don't know how to even begin. And there is no 1, 2, 3 ABC, right? To get to where you're saying. It just takes, firstly, putting yourself first, checking in with yourself and seeing, how do you feel? How are you behaving? Evaluate that interaction you just had. How could it have been better? Did that make me feel good? Like, really talk to yourself and understand how you're feeling and intuitively act.
A lot of people, everyone has intuition, right, Chontel? But not a lot of people trust their own intuition. But their intuition is never wrong about them, right? Your soul and your soul purpose in here, and everything that happens in your gut is you cannot deny it. But you can choose. You get the freedom of choice to ignore it. And a lot of people, because they don't spend enough time with themselves and enough time in silence and enough time listening to the whispers that are coming from your gut, you're kind of madly in the pursuit of what might seem great on the external plane, but on the internal plane it doesn't suit your soul. And your soul always knows what you should be doing.
It's such a terrible way to feel as well and live. Having just unhealthy behaviors with or interactions with people, and just knowing that you're not valued, or potentially not meeting them they're not meeting you halfway with who you are and your values. And I think that's your intuition, as you said, it doesn't lie, but it takes so much practice at backing it, because I mean, it's a chance, you're taking a risk. But if someone does something to you or makes you feel a certain way, that is pretty much legit.
It's just showing you something about yourself, and it's whether you want to listen to it or not. Everything reflects back on you and how you feel internally and what. So imagine you going through life, and you've gone through life, and I've gone through life. And every one of us that's listening to this podcast is going through life with lots of buttons that have come from our childhood, from our programming, from our generational traumas, all this stuff. We're going around through life with a load of buttons attached to our body. Every single button someone can press and trigger a reaction out of you, and every reaction is an opportunity for you to learn how to remove that button from your life.
Yeah.
And it's your choice whether you choose to actually go and remove that and actually do the work there. because everything's to show you something about yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've had some real doozies, and it's taken a lot of, I think having children as well has helped dramatically. But, you know, you are the advocate for your kids, right? And what you put in front of them and who you allow in their life and things like that. But it takes a lot of guts to be able to walk away from something that doesn't feel good. And I've had some real doozies of people who they will only be there because they can take, and the second they can't take no more,
they're gone.
They're gone, and you question what else could I have done? Oh, I should do more. I should do, and you just accept this behaviour. You're just constantly walking forward when they're walking away, trying to give them all the bells and whistles because you can't understand how their behaviour was one way with you at some point, and then now it's gone.
Well, in life, you should never reward what you deem as bad behaviour.
But you do, right?
But we all have at certain points. I mean, but there comes a point in time if you want to level yourself up, where you have to start saying, you know, this is what I will and this is what I won't accept in all areas of my life, and I'm absolutely resolute on that. And when you go into depth on what you will and won't accept for yourself, that's when you can set these boundaries that allow you to grow. You can't grow when you have no metric or framework to sit within, because even though you might never have written down your framework of what you will and won't accept, as soon as I walked in here and I saw you as a woman that was stood in her power and stood here and in her own presence and like feeling herself in love with herself in the right way and just stood there in her presence, I already knew that you had a framework that you must operate from subconsciously to be able to do that, because a woman can't stand in and be open in her femininity and be open and just how you operate and how you flow, but also know who the fuck she is if she hasn't got a framework to follow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of men and women out there that have never really sat down and thought to themselves, do you know what? I need to work out what I'm really about and how I really want to turn up to the world, because that's essentially what we've all got to do. You don't achieve what you've achieved with the gyms, with the franchises, with being a mother, unless you've had that conversation internally at some point, right? Yeah,
like a daily conversation that subconsciously you're having all the time.
How do you make sure then that things always fall into alignment? Has there been any times recently where you've had to make a hard decision about things that you just, this could be good, but it doesn't really sit well with me?
Yeah. I think 2022 was a big year for everyone, and I'm ending it on a massive high, but there's just certain behaviours now, and I'm becoming better throughout the end of this year, especially having a reflection on, and people have a think, your significant person, whether that be your partner or your best friend or your parent or whatever. If you have that one person that you can put your entire trust into, compare. If you're having a conversation with someone or you've got a friendship or a relationship, think, for me, it's my best friend Erin. Would Erin do that to me? No. Would Erin make me feel that way? No. Would Sam make me feel that way? No. Would Sam behave like that to me? No. Did I do anything differently? No. Okay. Then that's your intuition. Like, listen to it. If you can compare it, and you are lucky enough to compare it to someone that you can put your full trust into and you know will back you at the end of the day and has the best intentions for you as a friend or partner or person in their world, use that if that's a starting point. Because I've had some really disgusting behaviours happen, especially recently, and it's made me think, well, one, yeah, that sucks, that hurts, but two, thank you, world, for cutting it now and not letting it drag on any longer, because I don't want to invest any time or energy into this behaviour or this person when I could be putting more back into the ones that are valued in my life. Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to move on quickly and show me. And it's always because you stand up for yourself. I don't know if anyone's ever had that experience where they finally have a voice. They finally just put their voice out there and they stand up and they say, no, no, I don't like what you said. But for so long they've allowed it, right? They've turned a blind eye, and that's, again, the disease of please. But you say no once and you get this awful reaction because that person loves the way that you are below them and the power that they have on you. They love it. And the second you say no, shit hits the roof. And you're like, I should have left this. I should have removed myself from this years ago, right? That situation, when that happens, don't dwell on it. Celebrate it. Know that now you can remove yourself and you can be confident and you can start investing in the best parts of your life and the better people in your life. And take what you can learn from that experience and grow and run with it. I've let go of family, friends, people who really don't have the best intentions or don't like me. And that's the whole, I just don't give enough fucks. I just don't care. It's not my problem what you think about me.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Well, a lot of people's negativity or problems towards you reflect back on how they feel internally at that moment within themselves. Like, you know, you might get a YouTube comment or you might get comments from someone in real life, and a lot of the times it's just if there's one finger pointing at you and they're making it towards you, it's just there's five pointing back at them, and it's kind of work that they need to do. So in essence, if you're listening to this and you're putting out any form of if you see someone that has a nice life and you feel some kind of way against them, that's giving you an opportunity now to see what's going on within you that makes you feel inadequate. Use it.
Listen to your body, what you're feeling when you see positivity and it makes you negative.
Yeah, why do I feel a certain way when I see this guy in a Lamborghini? Why do I hate on him? Why do I hate on this woman who has this following, who's this, that, and the other? Like, why do you need to hate on anybody? They're all internal metrics that allow you to self-evaluate and to give you a lesson. It's just whether you want to hear it, and that's men and women need to take those lessons and listen to them, rather than sitting there and saying, do you know what? It's the world's fault and putting it out. As soon as you put your problems into the external world as if they're their problems, you're losing the opportunity to do the work within yourself, and then you're losing the opportunity of growth that you have been given. And you will get served that lesson again and again and again.
It'll keep coming back.
And it'll keep coming back. That's why I see so many beautiful people in relationships that shouldn't be together that are toxic as fuck, because they're in a pattern of events that keep attracting the same type of women, the same type of men into their life. Yeah. And the reason is because they're being served this karmic lesson on whether they've got to find their voice, whether they've got to find their power, or what they've got to do, or they've got to heal here or heal there. And then they ignore it. And then they go and chase it again. And they seek the same lesson, because you'll always seek the lesson that you've never learned, right?
Yeah, exactly. And sit there and think, like, this pattern, if it's happened however many times, or if it's just the first time, are you happy? Hand on your heart, are you happy to live like this for the rest of your life? Because if you're not, these are the years where you have life in them. End it now, move on now, and enjoy the life that we have now. 30s, these have been my best years, being 30. I thought my 20s were my best. Actually, I thought my teens. Then I thought my 20s. And now I know my 30s. And it just keeps getting better. But eventually it will start getting harder. And I want to be happy in these moments, in these years, because this is when I have life. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be allowing people to rent space in my brain that don't exist, that shouldn't exist, in my world.
Yeah.
I don't want to allow them any space in my mind, because I want my children to be my focus. I want my husband, my relationships with my friends, my business, my team, the people who value me. I want to give them all of me, because I get it reciprocated back, and it makes me rich, right? Because I gain dollars from them. They make me feel good. Yeah. And that's where I want to put my money into, my energy into. I want to give them my dollars. You want
to pay into something that's going to pay you back in the way that you feel about yourself and elevate both parties.
Absolutely. Like when I invest my time, my dollars into my children, right? And I give them, they give it back to me. If spades, not even better.
They'll give it back to you way more abundantly than you'll ever be able to give to them even.
Exactly.
because children have unconditional love and because of the innocence that comes with that unconditional love, it's just given so freely, more than you could probably even give it.
Exactly.
And it just gets reciprocated in a different way. Because I know when I see my niece and my nephew and the way that they move and the way that they operate and the way that and it's just like when you see that and you start to actually really be present with the fact of like that these kids are like so pure in the fact of how they operate and how they move. That's a beautiful thing to see and to witness.
They teach you so much more than I think we give them credit for. Subconsciously, they're just consistently teaching. And they make me make decisions without realizing. I make so many decisions with better thought and with more meaning because I really hold my title as a mother so proudly, and I'm so grateful and I guess, proud to have that responsibility and to be able to give them this life that I always wanted, to give them that family, that home, that noise in the house that fills every room, that dinner table that is so chaotic and just filled with cups and plates and food, and Christmas where the wrapping paper fills the floor, and a backyard where we're all literally laughing, music playing, a morning where we're all rushing, trying to get toast in our mouth and do our hair and brush our teeth, and we're all just running around like crazy headless chicken. Like, I love that. Holidays. I took all 5 kids to New Zealand when the twins were maybe 6 months old, and they were preemie, so they're probably even, technically they weren't even that old. And going through the airport and going on a plane and trying to get that A to B, B to C adventure and doing the hustle, how fun that was. These are the things that I find are the wealth in my life. Those experiences, those challenges, I run towards them because they are the things that I longed for as a child. To have those memories.
And I love the fact that you said that, because you've mentioned it a few times. Successful people find the wealth in the moments that allow them to be fully present with themselves. That's essentially what you said there.
Yeah.
Because when the chaos is all happening and the kids, I mean, let's just even go into that. Like having 5 kids in a 6-year period, and the stress that must have happened on your body through that period to go from like, being pregnant to like getting back in shape, to being pregnant, to getting back in shape, to being pregnant, to getting back in shape. Talk to me through your thought process of why you wanted to do all that in such a short space of time, and how did you even recover your body after that?
My poor body. Well, one, I always wanted my children to be really close in age. And the reason for it is I wanted them to grow up being filled with family and a foundation. I wanted them to have that person that they could always turn to that's at a close age. I have a sister and she's 3 years older than me. And even that was perfect for some periods of our life, being that, once we hit over a certain age, we really started to bond. But, there are certain patches where you find that age gap a little bit of a distance. I really wanted them to be so close. And my husband came from a family as one of 4, and they were just so close. And it was a loud household. And I looked at him and I said, like, this is what I want. I want siblings playing with each other. I want to make a meal and there's so many bodies to feed, bring their friends over. I want to be able to provide that home, that place, that safe haven. And having my children, I didn't want to have gaps. I wanted them all together. I wanted age-appropriate activities, holidays, everything to really work for all of them. And also the convenience of, like, when nappies are done, they're all kind of done. And formula and bottles, and, we're all moving on together. And when they're at school, I'm going to have all of them in primary school together. I'm going to have all of them in high school together for a couple of years. Some of them are butted up one year after another, which is really exciting for me.
Because aren't 2 sets of those two lots of twins, right?
Yeah, so we'll have, for example, I'll have one in grade 4, one in grade 3, no one in 2 and 1. I'll have one in prep, and I'll have 2 in kindy. So there's going to be a decent amount of time when they're all going to school together, they'll always have each other.
Yeah.
And when we get older, like maybe I'm more guaranteed to have grandkids with the 5.
You've really gone into this, haven't you? You've really gone deep.
Yeah, family means everything to me. And sports, I will always encourage my kids to push themselves, and I am not afraid to push my kids and teach them a bit of resilience and teach them about how it feels to lose, how it feels to win, how to be humble, how to be supportive, and how to be a good winner or a good loser. Adventures, like go traveling with each other and explore the world together, explore a caravan park. I don't care what it is. Like just be together and have something to look back on and love about your life. I just don't want, and it's a different world now than when we were teenagers. There's so much more pressures now. I mean, I met Sam and he didn't have one photo of me online. I couldn't portray an image. I literally had to ring his home phone and be like, "Excuse me, Mrs. Duncan, is Sam available?" You know, and you get the cord phone and you ring it, you try stretch it to the other room so no one can listen.
And you used to have to arrange to meet your mate in the centre of town, and then you'd have to name the location and where you're going to be stood next to because you didn't have a mobile phone. Just mad time.
No, and you had to speak to the person you liked. You had to physically see them. You couldn't be behind a screen. You couldn't put on a facade. We were very blessed in a sense that you had to get to know each other, barrel and be completely who you are. It was unreal, you know, and when we were partying, when we were younger, going out to house parties and clubs, there was no photo evidence. So there was very little bullying growing up. No one really had anything to, it was just he say, she said, and then next weekend a new party, new activity and incident happened and you just move on.
New rumour that fades out, but like now we've got photographic evidence of this, that and the other, and you got people selling content online that perhaps doesn't sit congruent with them, but yet they do it because they're an attractive person. And the way society's gone now, it's like you get rewarded for that in a lot of respects, but really it's not actually rewarding you at a soul level because it's not actually what you're meant to be doing. You're meant to actually doing what I don't personally know what you're meant to be doing, but like you're meant to be doing what sits well within you.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, and
it's more so you're just meant to be you. You've got to still be you at the end of the day. Know your morals, your values, who you are, and make sure that that's the first thing people know about you.
Yeah.
But it's so hard now because everything's in an image or with an audio over the top of it. So growing up, it was quite easy to interact with guys and girls because you literally interacted face to face. You didn't have anything to hide behind. And if you had a disagreement at school, you were face to face with that girl. You know, everything was, you just man up and you do it.
Do you think though a lot of the, say, masculine energy in society is being taken away in terms of, like, you know, the way that a man would have to turn up and treat their own self-respect and how they turn up to the world? Do you think a lot of that's changing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say yes and put any damper on body confidence and just confidence in general with guys. I think we're all human. We all have feelings and we're all going through our own shit. And putting yourself out there online, and I guess it just can be portrayed so differently. You don't know. And as you said, if you're looking at someone and it's making you unhappy, think about why.
So if you're a man out there and you want to sit within and you're listening to this and you want to sit within their power and attract this beautiful, elegant woman into their life that can get on the bus with them and go in the direction that they want to go in and pursue what purposeful and meaningful to them and create this life that they so dream of doing, what would your advice be to that man looking for that type of woman in his life?
Delete her social media and make sure every interaction is either on the phone or in person, and get to know her. get to know the person that you want to potentially spend the rest of your life with. Like, think about why you're investing your everything into someone. And if you are a family person like myself and you want to grow a family with someone, take that seriously. Don't walk into that relationship and think a child's going to fix it. If it needs fixing, don't put a child in that environment. That is the icing on the cake when everything else is made.
It's whole. When you're whole as separate individuals.
That's just coming from someone who had a very broken upbringing and how bad it can really affect a child. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think when you and Sam came together at school, you became whole as a collective?
Mm-hmm.
And it started to heal you both in certain areas that you needed healing?
Yeah. So in a nutshell with Sam, he was born and raised in New Zealand, and he came from a very rough upbringing. Have you watched Once Warriors?
No, I haven't, no.
You should watch it. It's an interesting movie. There's a couple of them, and that's basically what his life was like. And there were times when he would have to go to the hospital and couldn't identify his mum. Like, she was so badly beaten. And they were stripped out of, I think he went to like 12 primary schools. The cops would just come, grab them and ship them to a women's refuge, just trying to hide. And it's a home where women trying to get out of bad relationships, yeah. They hide with the children, and gang-affiliated people find you, and definitely over there. And so they'd get found, she'd give in and go back, and it'd just become this vicious cycle, and the kids were badly treated as well. And eventually they were stripped and taken over to Australia, and due to their criminal record, they couldn't come into the country. And so when he came here, he was living in Housing Commission House, and his mum was on her own, 4 boys, very wild boys, 2 with ADHD, and she was flogging herself, trying to do night shift, make as much money as she could. And now having 5 kids, I can see just how challenging that would have been for her. And that rocked her. So he doesn't have a relationship with his dad. It really rocked her. She was in and out of mental institutes and is probably never going to be the mum that he had, and she's over in New Zealand now. So we do everything on our own. But when things were not great at home with him, and he had a lot of responsibility being the eldest of 4, it was a blessing in disguise that we both met when we did meet. And without talking about it and without actually understanding it, as I said, like, we were young, you don't really understand why things are happening and why you're drawn to each other and what's really going on. But now we look back at it and we've processed sort of what was happening. We understand why it worked. And that is why again, like as you said, if you're someone now looking to settle with someone, look at their values. Our values were the same. He wanted that family. He wanted to give his kids a dad. Yeah. And I wanted to give my kids a dad, and show them a relationship that they could potentially desire or admire or inspire to have themselves. But also that safe haven that no matter what happens, there's a room. There's a roof over your head, there's food on the table.
I see exactly what you're saying, because my mum and dad have been married like 44 or 45 years. And I see the unconditional love in between the pair of them and the way that they have different roles and the way they interact. And when you've seen that for the longest time, like I have, you can't really accept anything less in your life than that for what you want in a partner and for how you want to operate, because you've seen that. There's no other way. It's been my normal. When I see dysfunctionality and broken homes and this, that, and the other, it's like, that doesn't resonate with me because it's not my reality. Yeah. I understand that it happens, but I don't want to live that reality myself. So that it makes me think to myself, okay, right, then the choice that you make for a partner has to be, when you go all in, you go all in. And that's why I think in a lot of my life, from what you just said there, I can see why I've gone all in on a lot of stuff. Like when I go all in, I'll go all in on the podcast. I go all in on the business. I go all in on, if I'm in a relationship, I'm all in, because that is the only way to you have to be willing to open yourself up and be vulnerable in certain areas of your life to be able to go all in. Because if you don't go all in, you literally, you're creating that chaos that you say that you don't want.
Yeah.
Do you know? This
yeah, exactly.
Very powerful.
Absolutely. And if you're not putting your all or your heart into something, don't expect anything less. Do you know what I mean? If you're not giving it all, don't expect to have 100% return.
Yeah.
Put in the work. You know, you do the hard work so life is easy. If you do the easy work, life is hard. When you walk into a relationship, walk in knowing your values. Like, I really want to have children. So when I'm evaluating this significant other, would they even be good enough for my kids? Do they align with what I want my children to be raised with? Do I know the damages of that sort of behavior around children? Like, no. Like, I don't want to waste that person's time, but I'm also not going, I know I'm going to listen to my intuition. Like, I'm not going to pursue it.
There's two things that I've picked up from you today. I think you've either got to know exactly who you're locking in with early as possible and lock in and then go on the path together, or you've got to know exactly what you want in a partner and then lock into that and then go in the pursuit of what feels most purposeful to you on your own, and then attract that partner in over the period of time. They're the only two ways that I can see you can actually do it. Yeah. Everything else causes chaos, because if you go out looking when you've not done the healing, you're going to create chaos.
What is your intention, right?
Yeah. If you go out to the world with the wrong intentions of just, you know, what we do as younger people when we go out and we're single, like, that's not going to bring back to your environment.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast, and the worst thing that they could potentially do is think, oh, I need a partner, and go out and go looking for a partner now and take their eye off the ball of what they should be doing, when they should be concentrating on their business and what they're doing, and then attracting in the type of partner that they can to facilitate their growth.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, I think, how you guys have built HITT to be so successful as a business, and by franchising it into all these different locations and everything you're doing, is because you've worked together as a team to go from here to the concept to moving it forward, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of how,
well, the business was created based on my transformation as a person through fitness, right? So 2021, I hit rock bottom, and so was Sam. He realised that his eating caught up with him. Not playing footy doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And he wasn't all muscle. And anyway, so we went and we did this gym and got into Muay Thai and started lifting weights and transforming, feeling ourselves and really feeling so positive. We were elevating. I was losing relationships in like that party scene and the places where I wasn't valued for who I am.
Were you a partier then, back in the day?
I can still party.
But were you a partier?
Yeah, definitely.
Mad.
Yeah. I was always the last one to come home. Known for staying out to the sunrises. I am an energized bunny, and it helps in business and with children. But I now channel my energy in the right areas that help me grow and evolve and be the person that I know I can be, and that I've done the work when I was a child. Like, don't give up now. Don't just waste all that work. Keep going. Manifest what you want and then head for it. So, yeah, anyways, we were both really working on ourselves, and that's where it started, and fitness changed our lives. We did it because that's all we knew was when we felt our best, we were active. So let's go into gym and let's go and do some sports and do it together, because we did everything together. And from there, it gave me the confidence to then start working on my career. And I remember going to my boss and I said, I would like to go part-time. I want to do a personal training course. I am helping a lot of people online. I was sharing everything, and when I'd go to the gym, I'd help people, but I'm not qualified and I wasn't getting any money for it, and thinking that was fine. But at the end of the day, I can see this is going to be a path for me that I...
Did you have a big following at the time?
No. And Instagram had only just come out. Facebook was mainly the one. MySpace was just fading.
Yeah.
And this whole new platform of Instagram came out, and we were a bit uninterested, I would say, being that you could only post an image, and Facebook was just way more interactive. Anyways, my boss said, you won't do good. There's so many personal trainers out there. What do you know? I would recommend you don't do it. So that afternoon I handed my resignation, very basic resignation, and said, see you later, I'll figure it out. I've spent all my life with people doubting me, with the closest people not believing in me, putting me down. And
you didn't want to relive that. You didn't want to relive that at all. That
behaviour, that reverse psychology makes me thrive. I'd already done so much of the groundwork. I'm now going to do some more. And I am not wasting another second behind this desk where I'm not valued, where no one sees potential in me. I'm going out there and I'm going to do it. So I went and got a job at an insurance company for fitness, a shoe shop, and found out what a bunion was, and I had to vacuum dead skin out of shoes. I did cleaning and bar waitressing in bikinis, and put myself in nightclub bikini comps to get as much money as I could so that I could keep the roof over my head and get the food, get the fuel, pay my insurance for my car, everything, so that I could survive. And I was living off like 2-minute noodles. I was driving from one place to another place trying to figure, it taught me how to roster or put things into calendars and be organized. And that is very important running a company. But from there, I finished my qualifications, and I was still obviously growing on social media at that point and sharing everything. And I was genuinely just authentically sharing my journey, not for any reason in particular, just more so because I was confident. I was feeling great. And when you start actually feeling good, you're not just putting on this front, you want to share it. You want to help people. And that's what happens when you start doing well. You want to pick people up and encourage people to join you and come with you for the ride, because
you want to put the hand out down the ladder and help other people elevate.
It happens naturally. And we see it time and time through our gym. And I remember going to my coach at the Muay Thai gym, and I said, I've got this vision. I want to be the fitness female trainer for Muay Thai. They had no female trainers there. I never fought because fighting was triggering for me. That's from
behavior. That's from a childhood. That's a behavior you're taught to expect.
Behavior made my heart elevate so bad that I couldn't bring it back down. So I was like, no way in hell do I want to put myself in a ring with someone who knows what they're doing and hit them to win and motivate and inspire other women that this is what's going to make me feel better and elevate in life. I respect the sport, love the sport. My husband fought. He did Muay Thai and was fantastic at it. But I needed to stay in my lane. And that was another learning curve that is so important. Stay in your lane. You don't need to be everyone else. You don't need to compare yourself to everyone else either.
It's that inner knowing that you wanted to use Muay Thai for fitness, but you didn't need to
because that's what helped me.
Yeah, because that's what facilitated your growth, right? And that's what you knew could facilitate other
because I knew I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only Chontel. There were other women like me who had similar upbringings, had similar doubters in their life, had similar traumas, had just no confidence in themselves. There were other women like me. I knew that. I wasn't the only one. Like, I'm not sitting here being a victim. I know that there's other people that go through shit. And so if I could allow an outlet like this had provided to me, but make it possible, like create something for them so that it's all sorted, they just come, and I see stars in people. I see stars in everyone's eyes. My clients, when they walk in, I'm like, you are going to be fucking sick. Like, we are going to change your freaking life. I know you can do it. And everyone is like, how do you see that in people when we know we might fail? Like, there's so much opportunity for us to fail. Like, life is really hard. And I'm like, nah, you're going to do it. Like, I honestly believe in so many people because I believe in the power of no one can deny you of hard work. It is literally hard work. You don't need to have all the money in the world. You don't need to have, you don't need to be as smart as. all you got to do is show up, and I will push you every day. I will make you do more things than you would do if you didn't have me by your side. And then every time you show up, you're going to walk out feeling that little bit more confident, that little bit more powerful. And I'm going to make it a vicious cycle for you that's going to create some like fierce, unstoppable person. So I pitched it to the coach. I said, I know you're a fight gym and like this goes against everything, but I'm going to be the fitness girl who brings females into your gym that don't want to fight. And I've never had a fight, and I'm going to teach them Muay Thai, but just for fitness. And he's like, you know, don't believe it. But if you want to do it, $600 a week rent. You can have the space.
$600 a week rent?
Yeah, this was way more than my rent that I was.
That's a lot of money for rent back in the day.
Back in the day. We're talking 2011, 2012. And there was no equipment. I had my own pads, my own spare gloves for my clients, and it was a carpeted space on the floor, and that's where I could pad hold for my clients. If the ring was free, because no one was working, of course I could go in the ring, and if a treadmill was free, I could warm them up. Otherwise, it was outside. I would run the block with them, come back, do the pad holding, and I pay $600 a week rent.
For the privilege.
For the privilege, yeah. And reverse psychology, I was like, bring it on. Sure, I'll pay $600 a week rent. My house rent is $400, and I have 4 people that live there help chip in to make that rent. Got home, my husband's like, you said yes to what? And I'm like, if I just get X amount of clients that pays for the rent, and then anyone after that is profit. And he's like, you're insane, woman. I'm like, I couldn't say no. I couldn't show fear or let him, you know, for so long, that's how it was. I'm not going to do that anymore. I am going to make this work. I'm doing this for all the women out there that I'm going to help change their lives. Like, I will do the work and I will get it done. And I got up to 115 personal training sessions a week. I managed to do 2 to 3 classes a week that would be booked out for minimum 2 weeks in advance. I could not squeeze another person in. I think I was making up to $5,000 a week with just 2 pads. I was getting HITT every session, 115 sessions of me holding pads. I had a dare from a client who said, hey, there's a IMBA bodybuilding comp.
Yeah.
I reckon you should enter it. I'm like, when is it? This was Tuesday. She goes, it's this weekend. She goes, you got bikinis. You've done bikini comps before. And I'm like, okay, I won it. My body was so wrecked. It was so lean and shredded from doing all this pad work that I was able to enter a competition without dieting or training for it and win it. I never did another one since from that one comp, because I did feel as though I had stripped effort and quality away from people who walked on stage after many, many months of dieting and preparation. Yeah. And I thought, I don't want to be judged like that, because my efforts were not adequate or even comparable to the efforts of these women up here. And I feel like I ripped them off. But that's just an example of how much I was pushing myself. It taught me the power of hard work to another level. And I was watching women completely flip their lives upside down in a positive way, and empowering mothers. I had no children. I was so young. I was only 22, and I was training like 30-something-year-old women, changing their life, a 20-something-year-old girl. And I thought, this is my calling. This is what I want to do. I want to change people like myself, and I want to show them that with a coach like I had as a child that would push me and encourage me and see stars in me, and they really did back me. They believed in me. I had coaches that would train me for free before school because they felt there was potential in me and they knew I had no money. And I wanted to be that person for these people. So that's why I started the classes, because I couldn't fit any more people in, and it was a cheaper option if they wanted to come and train with me. And then from there, I outgrew the gym and, you know, just needed to go and spread my wings. And so I opened up a shed, and I could only afford, and I had saved every dollar. I didn't know what to do with that money, that kind of money. You know what I mean? I had always counted my coins for my fuel and lived off 2-minute noodles and packets of chips. And I remember getting this shed thinking, that is a lease I need to pay now. And it's not far off the $600 a week. I need to get the flooring done. That costs X amount. I need to have enough pads for a whole class. My classes were capping at 60 to 70 people a class every time. People just doing Muay Thai. I had no equipment at this point. I couldn't afford it. I took the desk from my house and put that at the front of the building as a reception counter. I wrote down every receipt. I learned how to do tax from the ground up. I did everything. I was the cleaner. I was the childminder. I was the class runner. I was the bookkeeper. I was a receptionist. I've done every job in my business without the programs that we have now, like the manual way of doing it. And it taught me so much, and I was able to learn quickly because I didn't have that backing from school. I didn't go in and finish school thinking I was going to be a business owner, so I'd never really invested my attention and time into those areas. So I self-taught, and again, no one can deny you of hard work. It gets you from A to B. And I didn't have any parents sitting there helping me. I had no investment. I just sat there from 4 a.m. till like 10 at night every day, trying to make sure I counted everyone's memberships and who was paying cash, who was paying transfer, cleaning the gym, making sure it's all ready, setting up and creating the next class, and dealing with injuries and insurances and whatever. And like, again, I had a fitness insurance little job before I started, so I learned all about insurance and how important it was and everything. And then my husband eventually quit his scaffolding job, typical Islander, loved his scaffolding, and came on board, and it became a mixed gym then, and he brought in his fighting background and his rugby league, raw athletic sort of explosive training style.
You brought that into the gym.
Yeah, and I just gradually built 2 kettlebells, 2 dumbbells, a couple of skipping ropes, and just gradually kept growing the equipment in the gym. I didn't have anything to go back on to get a loan for. If anything, I had debt because I was paying for a lease, and I rented a house, and just went one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and eventually got to this facility that we were capping classes at 115 people a class. I was turning people away, saying, like, I physically don't have enough equipment to train you all in that 1 hour. I was hiring people. I was hiring my clients because they were the people who believed in the philosophy. They're the ones who transformed their life through what we did. So who else better to sell the business to the clients than the people who have actually done the work?
And been through the journey, yeah.
Yeah, I saw stars in them. I'm like, go get qualified and I'll train you up how to be the best trainer. If this is how you want to train and you want to change people's lives through this way, the power of fitness, I'll hire you. I'll get you on board. And
had you always formulated the brand HITT from that moment?
High intensity interval training. Like, I had to explain for about a solid 2 to 3 years that it wasn't a radio station, HITT station. No one knew what HITT meant. I wish I locked in that word because now it's a very popular way of marketing, training in gyms. But yeah, high intensity interval training, it was all I did as a child. I did a lot of explosive, raw athletic, track and field sport. I was always short bursts of energy, high jump, long jump, sprinting, rugby, touch, basketball. And when you do Muay Thai kickboxing, how to get better at it, it's through strength and conditioning. So explosive training, very little of what you do in the strength component for Muay Thai kickboxing is on a machine. You're barely sitting. You're using, your body is a machine. You're using free weight. And so I made my strength and conditioning training complement my work in the ring with my trainer. So that's where the gym was developed, and that's why we do what we do, is so it complements that sport.
And did you develop the whole brand and the aesthetic of how the whole brand looks from this one place and get it exactly right how it was in that one place, and then franchise the model that way? Yeah,
so we then first franchised out with a couple, and had them work with us hands-on, had them then run our classes and watch them and went through their classes, and then had them PT and watched them do that, watched them do reception, watched how they cleaned, watched how they did everything. And then took them to a facility and then opened it up with them, and they were extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And then we did it again and just kept going like that. And now it isn't as hands-on. Everything's got manuals and systems, and it's so much easier, portals, and there's such a more technical way of doing everything, whereas back in the day I literally learnt from scratch and hands-on trained everyone, whereas now we don't need to.
How many franchise territories are there at this moment?
There's 9 at the moment. So,
and what's going to be the rollout for like next couple of years?
My husband's taken over that role, and he's got big dreams and ambitions, and I think he's, wants to get up to the 50, etc., which is definitely possible. It's definitely doable.
What's the cost of setting up a HITT franchise?
Again, there is scaled options. You can go like boutique. Depends on where you are, really. Where is there parking space? Is there even space in that CBD or whatnot? But definitely well over the 100,000 to set it up and get it going properly. That includes like your training, your fit out, everything like that. But I'd be lying to you if I told you like an exact figure.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's good though that you've got the ambition to set it up to be the size of something like in this country, like a Fit Stop, like a what F45's previously done around the world, and things like that. That's kind of the route you're going down, I suppose. Yeah,
I mean that's more Sam. I'd be happy with just the 9 and just doing fantastic with the 9. I own the original gym, and I don't think I'll ever not own it. I think it's a selfish love of mine that I just really value the one that created everything.
And have you bought the underlying commercial asset that it sits in as well?
Yeah, that was our first goal before we moved into the building that it's in now. Is that I want to own? I don't want to pay the rent anymore. I want to own the property. Own it, yeah. Obviously, we want to start with anyone. You want to start your portfolio, your property portfolio, but that one, I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it. No, I'd have to be 80. My passion, obviously, as I've evolved with children, is to put my time into them, but really elevate the gyms that we do have and enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to not enjoy it. If it gets to a point where it's too much stress and I don't enjoy it and I don't feel like the people are aligning with the value and not giving the hard work that we put into getting to where we are today any credit, or they're devaluing what we're doing and they're harming people in the community, which goes against everything that the brand is about, because they're not invested like we are, then I don't want to do it. It's not about having 50 gyms and being able to label that. It's about having 9 really good gyms. And living a life where I can freely be a mum when I need to be and not sit there day in, day out working 24/7. Like at the end of the day, these are the years where I have more life. What was my whole purpose in doing what I do? Because I want to have a family. I want to have a family and fix the things that, I didn't have, and enjoy it for the parts that I can control. I can control this now. I couldn't control what I had growing up, but this is my second chance in life to do it the right way and to have those memories and create them. I'm just in a different role now. I don't want to have 50 gyms and be people pleasing to say that.
That's a key thing there, is your self-awareness of why you truly started in the pursuit of something. And that all comes down to self-awareness, definitely.
Yeah.
Because so many of us can get taken off into this growth and growth for growth's sake mindset. There's many people that might listen to this that might have grown their business past the size that's ideal to suit them for their lifestyle. But the whole point of your business is to facilitate what you actually personally want to achieve.
Yeah.
You're not just meant to grow a business for growth's sake because you can. Like if you got a $5 or $10 million a year business, and it gives you time with your family, and it gives you minimal stress because you've got X amount of people working in it, but yet you can scale it to 50 million, but then you start causing yourself a whole load of drama. Wouldn't it just be better just to have the business that actually facilitated what you originally set out for, rather than pursuing more money and more this and more that for just one word, more, for no reason other than more?
Exactly.
Is that something that you've dialed into now, that you know what is enough, and you kind of don't want to, you're absolute in what you want from it?
Yeah. And it comes down to that whole hitting 2021 where you wanted to change your life and you started seeing relationships expire. You start holding on to those real and nurturing those real solid relationships. It's like if you forget where it's most important in life, you forget what is going to fulfill you in life, what's going to have you rest your head at that last moment of life and be satisfied with what you did with the years that you had, because you're so driven by a distraction, that I never want to get to that point. I never want to be so greedy that I forget about who I am and where I came from, and stay grounded. Wealth to me is having a life where I have the most incredible relationships with people that value me, that I can put my faith and trust into, that will be there. If I had nothing, they would still value me the same. If I was a nobody, they would still value me the same. If I had nothing to give them, they would still be there. That's what I want to live my life like. By all means, I could definitely use the power of no one can deny you of hard work and push success. But is that going to make me happy? Because I'm going to miss the years that I have with these kids, and I'm going to give them a mum that's not present. That goes against everything in my bone, like in my body. Investing my time into my relationship with my husband. I want a good, solid relationship with my husband. I didn't get married for shits and giggles. I got married because I genuinely loved that person and saw a future with them. And I want to hold on to that and work on that. And if you do the hard work, life is easy. So every day, work on it. With your children, work on them, because then life will be easier. You can enjoy the fruits of your labor. Have quality over quantity. If having 50 gyms makes me $20 million, I don't know if enjoying that $20 million with my friends who value me with no money is even going to be worth the effort and the time and the commitment.
Yeah.
My friends don't need me. I mean, they probably are listening to this going, get that yacht, Sean, get that yacht. But they don't need me driving around in a Lamborghini and taking them in a yacht around the world. They just want time with me. They want to see my kids. They want to party with me. They want to go to the gym and like work on goals with me. Like, that is living. They don't give a shit if my roof is one size or another.
Yeah.
I just want to put my kids through good schooling. I want them to see me at night and see me in the morning. I want them to see me working hard. I want them to be around no drugs and no toxic relationships. I want them to be introduced to people that I have good relationships with, that I can put my trust into. I want them to have a life where they'll just, for that moment before things get stressful for kids, I want them to have fun and be happy. And yeah, if that means sacrificing 50 gems, then I'll sacrifice 50 gems.
Yeah, because and like I said, it all comes down to the self-identification of what you want for yourself in your life, and you've had that clear, I think, for a long time, even if not defined on paper. But I think you've had it defined in your head for a long time. Yeah. If there was one piece of advice and wisdom that you could leave this world with, and you couldn't leave them the gyms, you couldn't leave them any businesses and all that stuff, but you could just leave one pearl of wisdom that you know will impact and empower everyone that listens to this podcast, what would you leave?
It'd be two parts, and again, I've repeated it a fair bit, but it is to live with intention or intent, and that no one can deny you of hard work. You cannot take that away from someone. Don't ever let anyone take that away from you. You can achieve anything. Love it.
And that, guys, is Chontel Duncan, and she has smashed life. And I hope you guys, because I genuinely, when I start out and set out on a podcast, I have podcasters conversations, so like I genuinely didn't know today where this was going and where it headed, but I'm really pleased that we had that conversation, and I hope you guys got enough value out of it as well, because I think that if you approach all of your relationships in the way that Chontel's broke down and do the work and work on those demons of your childhood, I think that's ultimately going to free you and take you to a whole new level of life that you all want to live. And also there's parts of that there where Chontel talks into the fact of like knowing what you want from your business and only growing it to the size of what facilitates your other life as well outside, so that you can give more life and more substance to your family. I think that's so important. So thank you so much for your time today. And guys, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. I appreciate all of you that listen, and we'll be back soon. And any last words from you?
I just hope that this resonates with one person and I can help someone put their best foot forward. So if that is you, send me a message, because that will absolutely motivate the crap out of me. Thank you for listening.
I love that. Peace out, guys. Much love.
Guys, do me a solid favour. Drop a comment below this video and let us know who you want on the podcast next.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee's Hot